Hey, welcome to the iPhone 5 channel. Today we'll be going over the M16A2 versus the M16A4 in Insurgency Sandstorm. Well, let's get into it. Firstly, to understand these weapons better, let's dive into the history behind them. The M16A2 was an upgraded version from the M16A1 as a result from combat experience in Vietnam. The first military branch to adopt it was the U.S. Marines in the early to middle 1980s, with the U.S. Army adopting it in the late 1980s. The reason this weapon was a burst and single fire is because inexperienced troops would often spray in the general direction of the enemy. The M16A4 was the fourth generation of the M16 rifle, with removable carry handle which allowed for Picatinny rails to be added to the weapon and add things like optics, grips, and etc., but still keeping a semi-burst fire selector. But after time, the M16A4 was switched for M4 and slowly fizzled out of military use. Now, let's talk about the game. The M16A2 being on the insurgent side and being one supply point, while the M16A4 is two supply points being on security. Both the M16A2 and the M16A4 have the same recoil in the menu for the weapon, but in-game, the M16A4 seems to slightly have more recoil because of its increased rounds per minute. The M16A2 only has 3 optics to choose from, being the 3xA2 scope, the 4x M150, and the 4x to 1x M150 bus. The M16A4 optic options are the 1x flip up sight, the 1x holographic, the 2x to 1x holographic, the 1x red dot, the 2x 1x red dot, the 1x MRO, the 4x 1x C79, the 4x 1x SU230, and the 4x to 1x SU230 bus. In conclusion, the M16A4 has 9 optics, while the M16A2 only has 3, so the M16A4 has 3 times the amount of optics than the M16A2. M16A4 and the M16A2 both have the same barrel attachments, being the compensator, flash hider, and sometimes suppressor, also sharing the same magazine capacity of 30, the extended mag 35, and the drum mag of 50. But when it comes to the underbarrels, the M16A4 has 2 more attachments than the M16A2, being the pros and cons of the M16A2. Starting off with the cons. Less moddability, less fire rate. Now the pros is only one supply point. Okay, now on to the M16A4 pros and cons. Starting off with the pros. Fire rate, moddability, and now the cons. Cost one more supply point. Now, with all this information, which M16 should you pick? I'll leave the critical thinking to you, but in my opinion I believe the M16A4 is superior in fire rate and better moddability. I also think the M16A4 is better for the players that like to dump all their supply points into modding out a gun, while the M16A2 can be easily modded to get extra supply points to be used elsewhere. As an example, if you go demolitionist with the M16A2 with 1x optics, minimizing the supply cost to 2 for your primary. So for my final opinion, I think the M16A4 is better because of its moddability and fire rate. Also, I'm a nerd for attachments on my gun. So that's about it. The M16A4 is overall better than the M16A2, right? Well, no, of course you can't take my word as fact. So go try it out and see which one you like better. Hey, welcome to the end of the video. I'd like to say this project took a very long time with multiple days of editing involved. So if you'd like to comment, like, and subscribe, that'd be very helpful since I'm a startup YouTuber. Also, editing is pretty bad in this video because I started editing like a week ago, and this is my first actual like edited video. Also, the editing in this. Fun fact: both of the I'm still bruh. Shit.